Right, let us begin. Well, this is our picture for this time. As you can see, it's very blurred, but as I said in the note, it doesn't really matter because the way we're going to use the pastels will make it blurred anyway. Okay, now then, I'm going to do the sky first, and I'm going to use a system of a lot of crosses. This is a combination of 2 or 3 different things. Number one is you will all, I presume, have heard of pointillism, where they put little dots of color close to each other and the eye melds the color. That's a theory. And then I was reading a book about, I think it was John Yardley. Is it Yardley? Can't remember. Anyway, he's a great pastelist, this fellow, whoever he was. And he, pardon? Might have been. Anyway, whoever he was, and I'll look him up for next week so you can hear who he was. And he said he liked to do his skies by putting opposite colors near each other so that the sky became luminous because you have this interaction between colors. You remember I was talking about last term when I was talking about watercolors. If you have a strong blue, or even last time, and you have a strong orange, then the whole, well, you know, strong blue, strong orange, it really gets the thing exciting and makes it look interesting. So if you use the color opposite on the color wheel, you get this excitement of between the colors. But I don't want to put it on flat. I wanted to give it a bit of excitement. And another article that I read in a magazine sometime, somewhere, this artist produced his pictures by just putting a blaze of crosses in the colors that he wanted to do. And the thing was so lively and so energetic. We all had a go some time ago, and some of you who've been with me will remember the film we had doing it. So I'm going to start with very pale mauve, sort of creamy color, pale blue, and pale orange. That might be too pale. I might say that's not bright enough and do something else for this. Okay, essence of this is not to be too careful. If you go around putting very careful crosses, the whole thing will die. You've got to go for it and really enjoy it. And there's a hell of a noise in the room while we're doing it, but there we are. That's life. Okay, so I'm just going to say that the roof is about, well, first to begin with, this is a square picture. So I better decide where my picture is going to finish. I'm going to do my picture over here. Okay. So I can use this to try the colors. There's the blue. There's the orange. Well, that's quite good, actually. There's the yellow. I might alter that. There's the purple. Okay. It's a bit dark. Shall I use that one? Oh, I prefer that. Okay, so benefit of trying. You can sort out your colors better. Right, I got the purple in my hand. The roof of the house, well, it doesn't really matter much. It's about here. This is a very vague picture, so the roof's about there, and there's some trees over here, and there's a tree up here. Okay, there we are, sketch done. Right, okay, so this is what we do. Just putting crisscrosses all over everywhere. I'm going to put it behind the tree because, well, there's plenty of light behind the tree. Right, I'm a bit tired of that, so I'll change the colour and put a bit of yellow in. taking very much care about how I'm doing a very swishy spot, a big area to cover, so I'm not going to be too careful about how I do it. You're going to get repetitive strain injury doing this. That's right down here, actually, isn't it? It really doesn't matter if I put the yellow down here anyway, because there's trees, so it's a bit yellowy. Right, pick up the blue and have a go with the blue. I'm looking on top of that. No, not at all. Whichever takes your fancy. In fact, you can use two hands if you like and do it that way. It's all good, clean fun. At the moment, you can still see the crosses. And again, it doesn't matter if I come down over the roof line. The roof is bluish. This is greenish, which has blues in it. So, you know, and go back to this one. Put this one in. Right, I'm beginning to cover the paper. This is your first wash, if you like, if you're doing watercolor. This is how you would. I hope you're keen to get started because this is fun. Right. Okay, so that's the first wash. So now we go in again and make our crosses a bit smaller this time, taking a bit more care. That's that one. I just want to show you what a little bit of it looks like when you get. I have to do this over the whole thing, you understand. So what I'm doing here is actually demonstrating how we go about it. Just imagine how noisy it is if you don't pad your paper. Right. Still a bit of other colors showing, but that's okay. If I go down this way, I can show you how I change the color when I get down there. I hope you can all see. I'm being a bit more careful to put the purple and the yellow together and the blue and the orange together. I don't think it matters in the end, but just in case it does, because the yellow and the purple are opposite each other on the color wheel, and the blue and the orange are equally opposite on the color wheel. So now I'll go in with this. I go on doing this until there's actually not a scrap of the underpaper showing by the time I've finished. So the crosses are getting smaller and smaller. I'm not carefully going over this one here. I'm just waffling it about a bit. That was orange, so we'll go on top with a bit of blue. Right, so blue. I'm going to drag the yellow over this. Right. Sorry. I think you can see, even looking at it like that, that it's much more lively and luminous than if I just gone like that. Right, even if I put that on top of it, and then that on top of it, and then that on top of it, I'm not getting that same luminous quality that the tiny little bits of color which are showing. Don't look so worried, it's fun. It's just a question of continuing until I feel I've achieved what I set out to do and created enough of a color on the paper. I'll do around the roof next because I think this will show you when I change to the blues for the roof. Oh, I've done them. Yellow is what I want in there. Now, if I look at that roof, it's sort of bluey color, isn't it? It's a bit boring. So what I'll do is find as many blues as I can. Just put those there for the time being. That isn't finished. You understand? I'll have to do more of this to cover this. Okay. So I've got various blues. Is that a blue? Yes, that's a blue. That's a blue. Yes. That's a blue. It's a nice blue. What else have I got? A bit of grey blue, I think. What's that? That's too dark. As ever, you never have the color you want. Okay, so I can put in little crosses. See why it doesn't matter that the picture's blurred, can't you? This isn't. Right, it's just got a bit of light on this side, so we'll put a bit of light on this side. Very little bit over here. And spray it off a bit. I think I wanted a little bit. What do you think of the light? It's just a lighter blue. Just a lighter blue. Yes. With pastels, you have to buy the lighter blue. You can't make it. Well, you can make it, but it's a bit less easy. I could mix it with white and blend it. If I put a bit there and I blend it together with a finger, makes it a different color. But I like to see the stroke of what you're doing, however you're doing it. And it's quite dark under the eaves, so we'll make this darker. Still crosses, still just flicking it about. Yes. Yes. Part of the fun. If you've got my book, there is one picture done like this. So you have to go look for it. Right. Now, I think that will do for the time being. Now we want to turn to the reds, ready browns. So I'm going to use a brown. It's a very dark brown. A ready brown. That's a better one. I'll keep the dark brown though, because I might want it. Red. Orange. Lovely. See how we get on with those for the time being. Right. If we start under the eaves, well, let's do the whole shooting match. Don't mind the white window, just blaze away, you know. You can put him in afterwards. And he doesn't have to be white. Again, demonstrating, so this won't be complete. It's just to give you an idea of how we go on. How are we doing for time, Rachel? Well, that's good. I'm panicking for no good reason. Right. Now I'm going to add in a bit of red. Back the orange. As we get down here, probably see more of the orange. So you can alter the how light or how dark your whatever you're doing comes by the way you how much of each color you put in. I want to get a bit more dark down here. This time I'm making quite small crosses because this is the shadow of the eaves of the roof. You probably feel you're not getting anywhere, you know, you're just having fun. Well, that's okay. Nothing wrong with fun, is there? Okay. What else have I got? Just to make it more entertaining. It's a bit more pinky. More mid-tone. Not quite such a, what are we doing? Oh, it's not bad, is it? Not bad at all. When you're this close, all you see is a pile of crosses, you know. You need to stand back and look at things occasionally. And if you feel you've gone too far with one color, you can go back and repeat things with another color. Depends on how pinky or how ready you think this is going to be. Now, I think actually I haven't done that right. There's a line down there, isn't there? Right. Okay, we'll put that in. Oh, I didn't use that one. It's rather nice. And So I'll just take that off because I didn't get the drawing right. Okay. That one's gone too low as well. So that's wrong. That's wrong. Now what I'm doing there is relieving the paper of the pastel. So I'm emptying the tooth of the paper so that it will take the pastel. This is actually quite a bit lighter down here. Not very much of it. What's that? Sorry. I'm going to warm it up a bit with that one. This is a light catching the. Got to sort that out there. Okay. And the roof line. See, I should have been more careful with my drawing. I didn't think I'd get this far, so I have some excuse. You'll also notice I've got a cover on the floor, and you can see why. Right. Now that is actually quite dark in there, down the side of the house. And it seems to be a dark green too, so it's sort of darkish green there. Now, it's not enough. It's just one dark. To reinstate this over here, so it becomes more clear. Like this. If you're feeling at all puzzled about what I'm doing, do please ask. Don't feel it, you've got to put up and shut up. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Yeah, that's why they. Looks more, well, I hope it does. Right. Now, 10 minutes. Okay. Really would like to get some greens in just to show you how we tackle the greens. Greens are yellows and blues, of course. Though you're not forbidden to use green. It's just that this comes right over the front of the house here. That yellow. Where are my blues? I've got no indeterminate blues. It's very uncertain. I don't want them to be that brightly yellow up there. You get a blend partly from the pastel pulling out the other pastel. But you also get blend because the tiny little bits of dust are adjacent one to the other. So you get that sort of effect as well. But pretty well, yes. But it thickens as you work because you wear out the point. So if you're being very particular, like a bit more particular, like trying to get that edge in, then you might want to use a point. But otherwise, it really doesn't matter. I suppose I could do it that way. I haven't thought of that. Yeah, try it. I'm going to cheat a bit and have a bit of real green in there. I think I'm allowed to cheat. Right. Now we go to darker blue. When we get down here, I'm going to, we've got quite a big dark patch down here. I'm not going to put in the heap. There's a heap of gravel there. I'm just going to sort of fade it out into greens at the bottom here. Now, that is pretty stark. We don't want that to happen because although there is quite a dramatic change, it isn't so dramatic that that it freaks out you. I'm working the lighter one on top of the darker one. And that keeps this dark. It picks up little bits of pastel, so you get little bits of dark up here, which is great because they look like little leaves. I don't think I'm kidding myself. There's a couple of unconvinced faces there. Well, I've done it before. That is a yellow. It's just a matter of passing on till you get the sort of effect that you want. Oh, yes, that's working quite nicely, actually. I've done enough to show you what the process is. Obviously, all this needs more work done on it to change this to something more like that. And the same down here. This is very roughly laid in. But I think it's worth a try. It's good fun, you know, even if nothing else, it's good fun. If you don't want to have a go at doing it this way and you want to play straight with your pastels, well, no, feel free. I'm not going to be cross. But I like the pointillistic effect that this creates. You could do it with dots. You'd have to do a very tiny picture unless you're prepared to put years into what you're trying to do. So I find that this repeated crosses until you actually cover the paper, starting with big ones so that you get the whole thing started, and then gradually making them smaller and smaller. So eventually, this is all crosses, but it's practically covered the paper. And you've got tiny bits of different colors next to each other sparking, which to my mind makes it more interesting.